Okay, so we are launching this this project. This is phase 2 of accessible genomics, and then particularly the crowdfunding part. Phase 1 is what we just did when we brought the the training, the sequencer, and the reagents to PGC Mindanao, and phase 2 is like how could we actually bring this to the second level or the second degree, wherein we will bring it to other labs, which means like this could go on and on. So this is I got this. I just copied this from the presentation I did for the ONT webinar. These are our what we achieved. The first SARS-CoV-2 sequencing enabled by an international volunteer team, and the first sequencing of any organism on site in Mindanao, Philippines. And then you see here Mitch, even though he has a mask there, you can see his smile. And
Khalil,
yes.
Perhaps you can put first on-site sequencing because people do sequencing here, although technically they don't do the sequencing. They just send it.
Yeah, it's from Mindanao. Yeah, in Mindanao.
But
so not from
on-site
Mindanao.
sequencing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they send the samples somewhere else for sequencing, but maybe to distinguish
very
first on-site.
On-site sequencing.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So phase 1, phase 2. So here, so why are we doing crowdfunding? And then what's their plan for doing this? And then how to contribute to this? That's basically the agenda for this presentation. So why crowdfunding? So because it's just faster than grants. So we're experimenting with alternative resources of funding. One is the micro grants, like Joggle. The other one is this could be it. This could be also a source, a crowdfunding. So because if this works for us, it means we could teach other labs to do this as well. And then also this could maximize our momentum and our PR. Like, we could have, we could start getting some publicity from this. How do we convert that publicity into more help to bring this project forward? And you guys could think of any other reasons why crowdfunding is beneficial for us to do, aside from these?
Well, you're giving people, well, it's kind of related to the PR, but you're giving people an opportunity to really be part of the project, like more than just reading stories. They can actually kind of feel like they're more active part of it.
Yeah, maybe something like ownership.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah, accountability. I think accountability also comes to mind with with their participation. So they also see what we see, kumbaga, if that makes sense.
So I guess this is also would help them. Like this is a way to educate people as well, because once you're invested in a project, you would be I guess forced to learn. Like right now, I just learned the difference between what data you could get out of wastewater. It's like so people could be educated more on genomic pathogen surveillance. Cool. So the goal, this is what you call this? I updated the budget based on between two options. Like if you get the 24 barcode set, which we did, and the 96 barcode set, and if we have to pay for everything, it turns out that we have to raise $7,800 for the 24 barcode set, which will produce 48, which could sequence 40 samples, and it would cost $160 per sample. I already included the estimated delivery cost of $1,000, whether it's 24 barcodes or 96 barcodes. So yeah, so this is going to be the goal. In euros, it is 6,700 or 10,900. I think this is doable by mid-May 2021. I'll show you later the calendar I'm looking at for this. The work needed for this, essentially, the preparation part is just So I based this on the conversation with the friend of Inike, si Ilana, and then I also, what you call this, based this on some lessons from other crowdfunding blogs. So what will happen is that we'll do some research on similar crowdfunding and then look at the supporters, which are the biggest impact, and then sort of base our campaign on that. So we're going to be using GoFundMe team fundraising. So that's a way to do team fundraising. So the main work is really creating the video and the landing page. And so my main pitch here is going to be like, hey, we just made history. We, first ever sequencing enabled by an international volunteer team, and then inviting them be part of this history making event, where this is the first time where the crowd funded genetic sequencing. That's never happened before, I imagine. So I guess that's the core of the pitch. And then of course so there's going to be something tangible. I'm thinking of creating a plaque or having a plaque made for the lab that we will help. So it will be there. So their names will be there. For this one as well, I'm going to have a plaque made for Accessible Genomics for part one. So all the names of everyone who helped will be there. Dr. Lai, I hope it's okay if we post it somewhere in PGC.
What do you want to make, Khalil?
It's a plaque. It's like a bronze thing with, like commemorating the event, something like that.
But virtual, something like
no, it's like an actual
a
bronze
real
plaque.
one.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
And then
and then the plaque will be given to
PGC, like for part one PGC.
Okay.
And we'll place it there, and all the names of the people who helped will be there. And then we'll do the same thing for the next, like if they have a lot of funders, so all of them will be there, and we'll give it to the lab, which we will help. No, so it's something tangible, So they will be immortalized. So I think people will be more motivated with that. Because we couldn't give them any product, like unlike other fundraising campaigns. Yeah. So we're gonna be using this team fundraiser of GoFundMe. So it has let me go to that here. So yeah, it's a very nice thing because like you could track so each member of the fundraising team will have like a link, and then the donation that are made through that link will be tracked in the team dashboard. So you could see there so imagine we invite like I don't know, the 100 people we have in the Slack or something, and then each one just ask their friends. So yeah, I guess we could raise 6,000 euros with that, with 100 people, and then go through Twitter, and then do a media outreach, and then you ask, or maybe just partner, like for instance, a genomics person with a huge following. Hey, why don't we make you a team member? And then that person could send that link to their followers, and then they could also see how much they have raised for this. So that's sort of the plan. Yeah. Anyhow, so thankfully Inika is in is in Europe, so because this isn't available here in the Philippines, so we'll be going through what you call this, through Inike for this one. Let's see. Okay. So just a quick workshop, just to get your inputs here. Sorry. Top of mind. what blog, what podcasts, blogs, Twitter accounts come to mind when like people who have a following that would support us, yeah, and then
Actually,
or
oh, sorry.
and similar
Continue.
crowdfunding campaigns. Do you have any like
So do you mean podcasts that we could go on to advertise our crowdfunding campaign, or do you mean podcasts we could listen to learn about crowdfunding?
podcasts who could like mention to their followers, hey, there's this crowdfunding campaign, I am supporting this, here's the link, why don't you go here and support them, or something like that.
Okay, so because but I don't know if that's going to be available on this short notice, because I thought you wanted to maybe launch it in 3 weeks, and I don't think that is the a time scale for. But I was in touch last year with the Beaker and Bunker Science Communication Twitter channel, and basically it's someone, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but who combines talk about science with talk about his or her dogs, and it's amazing because he has like adorable dogs, so it's just a combination of pictures of dogs and science communication, and it's really funny, but it's also quite effective. So they also host a podcast, and I was in contact with them last year to talk about doing a podcast with them about the MinION and portable sequencing. It's just that it was just a bad time for me. I mean, I'm trying to finish my PhD, so I've got other things on my mind. But I did say to them, like, okay, but let's keep in touch, because as soon as I finish my PhD, I'm definitely it would definitely be really fun to chat with you again. So I can get the Twitter handle somewhere, but and maybe I can approach them to ask for help for this crowdfunding campaign, and then also to promise that we can use it as like a teaser for an upcoming podcast or something, that I can, like, in exchange for their help, I can promise to be on their podcast somewhere in the future and chat about it in more detail, something like that. Because I mean, ideally I would be on their podcast before the crowdfunding campaign starts, but given that we have a very short deadline, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, and also, Nikhil, this could be a rolling crowdfunding. Like for instance, if we raise money for one lab, we just do another round of crowdfunding for another lab.
No, that's true. That's true. It's just that I think then, yeah, it's important to think about how we can diversify channels, and like to not exhaust all our social media contacts with this round of crowdfunding, because that's kind of what Elena said as a pointer of, like, if you are going to do continuous crowdfunding, like, people are happy to engage, but they won't continuously give year in, year out, so to say, right? So I think it is good to think a bit strategically about who we want to include this time, and to but anyway, this is at least one of the things that I know of that could be interesting.
Cool. All right. So yeah. How about any other inputs from the others, or similar crowdfunding campaigns that we could study and like see how they did it?
Yeah, I don't have experience yet with crowdfunding. Yeah, anyone in this group has had experience with crowdfunding?
Very, very minimal. I started the student society while I was studying, and then we had to, generate a little bit of money, but that was within like our student network, so that was obviously very limited amount of money. But like I said, like Khalil and I had a meeting with one of my friends last week, and she is like a professional fundraiser, so she gave us a lot of good tips.
Provide tips. Yeah.
And she will be. I'll be showing her this plan because she asked for us like updates or whatever. So
So one of the things I was thinking about, Khalil, but again, this is not, we have to also be a bit strategic about that, but is to maybe approach Nanopore, ONT, and see if they could donate in kind. Because obviously if they are willing to provide 2 MinION starter kits, one for this first round and one for the next round. That's a very small cost for them as a big company, but would make a really big difference in the crowdfunding campaign. And maybe would then be an interesting marketing like story for them. So, but then obviously we have to be a bit strategic about that as well. But I think it might be worthwhile to explore that.
Actually, already asked them. It wasn't even the Minayon or slow sales. It was the, what you call this, the barcodes. I asked for the barcodes. I mean, someone connected me with someone in the, but didn't.
And did they say yes? Or did they say no?
They said nothing, which probably means no. But they, the publicity they gave was also pretty helpful.
Well, I mean, then at least then that's maybe one of the things we obviously can also contact them about beforehand, to not ask for in-kind donations, but at least ask them to amplify and help us spread the crowdfunding campaign, because they have a really big platform, of course. So if they're willing to give some publicity to it, that will be very helpful.
Yeah, the marketing team is easier to talk to. Yeah, I've been talking to them, so that's an easier ask than because so many. I imagine so many labs would want to ask for donations in kind. So if they're gonna give us one, they would have to give so many other labs donations as well. So just also thinking about risks. But the main looking at this project, the most critical thing, it seems to me, is the landing page and the video. So I think I'm going to focus on the landing page and the video, also the outreach, because you have to convince the donor to give using just the landing page and the video. So yeah, well, this is basically my day job. My main business is digital marketing, so I'll this is I'll do this. But do you guys see any other major risks?
I guess it should be okay, Khalil, with with that level, because it's a crowdfunding campaign. So the publicity, I think, would be the largest risk. So yeah, basically everything that you just mentioned.
Okay.
So I think maybe one of the risks could be that we have to have a plan for what if we don't raise the needed money. And what if we, for example, raise 2,000 euros and we can't provide a lab with everything they need? Then what are we going to do with that? We have to maybe have a plan in place for that, because yeah, I think it would be good to think about that.
Yeah. Well, we have. I hope we could get the funding from Jogo, but also we could always extend. So if we couldn't do it by May, let's do it by October or something like that.
No, that's true. Yeah.
So that's the contingency, but it's good to have like this.
Then probably we can specify that we will continue the crowdfunding until we reach the minimum funds for us to operationalize the project.
Yeah.
And indeed, then maybe also specify that we're also applying for grants, and we're also that we're looking into multiple streams of money, but that this is one that would be great because it's so. I think maybe that's the key to highlight that crowdfunding would be almost the best way of getting the money, because it's independent of timelines and all these complicated fundraising rules, and it gives us and then maybe people will be more motivated to help, but they also realize that, oh wait, there are other ways in which these people are trying to get their money or something.
Cool. All right. And then, so this is like the high level timeline I'm thinking of. So launching the project now. So maybe 3 weeks to create the video and fix the landing page and, fix all the contacts. And then, so 1 month to run the campaign. And then, so in the meantime, we could also start talking with labs. So as I was proposing for this project, like we could work with labs which have which are fastest in producing um, the ethics approval. So and then first come first serve. So whoever comes first. So we will provide you with a sequencer, the reagents, and the training.
Maybe the last time, like the deadline would be, instead of start sequencing with chosen lab, will be supply lab with all the necessities or something, because I think it's very ambitious to think that if we end the campaign on the 17th of May, that people will actually be sequencing a month later, given all the logistical setbacks that we have about.
That's right. That is
and I
very
mean,
correct.
I think it's still great to say that we plan to supply people with all the necessities in June, but then I think that might be a bit more honest communication, and still a great milestone if we actually reach it.
Yeah. Or we could place it later, maybe 2 months after. That could be a more viable amino sequencing.
What do you mean? Sorry.
Like instead of June, it could be July, mid-July.
Yeah, but it's just that I think it's more important to, the real milestone of phase 2 is to supply people with the necessities, right? Or for you is the real milestone the having them actually sequencing?
Well, the more dramatic milestone is the sequencing. That's like
I understand, but it is what Dr. Lair said earlier, is like the risk of that is that, because now, of course, here in Mindanao, we wanted to make sure that everything is working and that also the samples, the reagents were in hold for a long time. So it's really good that now we know that it's still working. It's just the risk of, I mean, I did this in my PhD, so don't get me wrong, but like the risk of rushing is that you get lesser quality data. So I think the most important thing is to supply people with the stuff, and then to guide them through getting good quality data and actually doing the sequencing, because I don't know, it does sound more dramatic, but you also risk that you can't really completely, either you can't deliver on what you promised, or you deliver a worse product just because you wanted to make a milestone. And it's a trade-off that
so this is like the ambitious target. Maybe June will be complete. Everything will be ready, and by July, we could sequence. So it's important to put some risk as well, to have skin in the game. It's like to have the possibility of failing, because it's like it has to be. We have to feel we have to have that possibility in order to push ourselves. It's just like it needs to be, there needs to be a, what you call it, a a North Star, like a
adopted
mountain.
all right. I
Yeah.
understand, something to work toward.
Yes, a summit to climb.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
And then essentially, so for those listening to this outside of this meeting as well, if you want to help, these are the things we'll be working on. And so the two main things really, like, one is to help out in the preparation of this project. What was mentioned, like the creation of the video, the landing page, and then the research behind that. And then, so if you have any of these skills, copywriting, video production, and then analysis of the marketplace. So there are some guides on how to do this, analyzing existing campaigns, and then looking at what made them successful and how to replicate that. And then PR outreach, essentially just making a list of possible supporters and then pitching to them and how they could help. So this is a lot of manual communications work. So this is basically the work we need. To just reach out to me um, if you have if you want to, you're interested. Let me put my email here. And then my Twitter handle. So if you're watching this and you're interested to help out. So that's basically it. That's the launch. So we are starting. So by next month we should start a campaign. Questions, guys, before we close? So we're just
Yeah. Sorry, Khalil. What do you mean by launch?
the launch the campaign. So today we're launching the project, meaning we'll start the work of creating this project. So
Okay.
by mid April, we will launch a campaign, meaning we will activate all our, like our contacts. Say we're launching this, so create some excitement, email people, post some blog posts. So it's like, yeah. So right now
Is this going to be through a platform?
it's a GoFundMe platform.
Sorry,
Yes.
not GoFundMe, the GoFundMe. So when you say that we launch the campaign, that's the time you put everything in the platform. Is that correct?
It's the time when we will publicize it.
So prior to that, you're going to prepare something, put
So
some stuff in that.
mainly, so the platform should be ready.
I'm really not
Yeah.
ignorant about this.
So the platform actually it's already here. It's already set up, but there's it's just like a, what you call this, a, it's just like what you call this, placeholder. So but the more important actually the how you will bring people to this
Right.
page.
Right.
So that's what we will launch. Like we will start bringing in people to this page, but before we do that, this page must be very well designed. That they maybe in marketing, if you could convert 2 to 5% of the visitors, that's already pretty good. So if we could do that here as well, it's like 2 to 5% of people actually donate among the people who visit this. That's the sort of the page, the video works. So that's going to be.
So the idea is that we work the next few weeks to set everything up really well, and also think about how we're going to advertise it, where we're going to advertise it, and kind of have everything ready so that then on the launch day we can, but already communicate a bit beforehand, for example, and then on the launch day we can share it on social media, for example, or through email lists. And then we hope that people can go to the page quickly and donate.
Yeah. So we will add. I don't know how many people this could handle, but I'm planning to add everyone involved in the team. So in the Slack, there's like 100 people or 90 people there in the Slack. So I don't know how many of them will be active here, but anyhow, we want as many people as possible. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of work as well. Like talking to each one of them, emailing them, say, hey, could you join us? Like, your email, blah, 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 onboarding them. So that's basically it. Other questions?
On our end, I think Khalil, I think we'll be free by we're preoccupied with a deadline for a paper revision. We have a deadline by April 3, so I think I'll be focusing on that first, and then afterwards, when we submit our revision, then I could see what I can help in setting up some of these things.
No problem. I mean, I'll take care of these things. You guys focus on the science, on the current analysis, and yeah, and just if you know people who have video editing experience or interested to help out in this.
So this is what I was curious about, Khalil, because I have one of my friends who works as a communication advisor for the municipality of Amsterdam. She's quite busy in her full-time job doing that, but she has a break next week. And I can ask her, because I know she does some video production, but I don't know how skilled she is in that. but maybe she also just has people in her network that she can reach out to. But I'm just curious, like, would you have a script for the video already? How much time investment? Probably before I ask for favors, it's good to know kind of what you expect is
No,
needed.
depends on what they could give, because because worst case, I'll do everything. No, so I'll create a script and I create a video. The minimum is that, so I'll create a script, and then the video will be, I'll be asking you guys to just read the script, yeah, and it will be like a collage of, like, different, members of the team, doing the pitch. It's a short video. It's like,
Yeah, I understand. Okay, because then I can ask her, and maybe she can at least give some advice, or maybe she can even help a bit, or things like that. So I will at least ask her, and also ask if she can't, she has a colleague that might be able to help us with that.
Cool.
And then also I put in the chat that we could probably reach out to my universities, the one in Amsterdam and the one in Liverpool, to ask if they can at least send an email around. I mean, most people will probably ignore that email, but they have such big reach that even if only a fraction of those people interact with it, it might still be good. So then, yeah, we just have to think about what to send to them.
Yeah, and also, like, the same network might also be a channel for when we launch this. Like, hey, we have this crowdfunder, and we will send it to each of our networks. Even if you just share it in your Facebook page. I mean, you probably have what a normal Filipino has, like 4,000 Facebook friends or something like that.
What?
Twitter, we can use Twitter.
Wow.
Or Twitter, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, of course, Twitter as well. Yeah.
I don't have many friends.
But maybe those friends are deep and very supportive.
Yes.
And I already empathize with all my friends because I have them on all the social media platforms, so they will get this crowdfunding campaign in their face like 5 or 6 times.
Cool. All right. So thank you so much, guys, and yeah, good luck to us.